If you stand your ground in stating that all Bigfoots and hybrids are predators, your comments will be removed and you will be unwelcome in the groups and cliques that profit off of pushing the narrative that these are forest people, big brothers, ancestors. Some are good, some are bad, our elders, guardians, etc. These people make a great deal of money and gain much attention and ego stroking off of selling Bigfoot through conferences, tours, and cliques, and many claim to be there to listen to those who need help with no regard for the consequences of their foolish advice and questionable help. They encourage people to communicate, mind speak, feed, give gifts to, accept gifts from, engage with, and trust predators. They brush over and ignore most attack encounters, and of the few they do acknowledge, accuse the stalked, attacked, or killed of having wrong or bad intentions or vibes or making some kind of mistake. People that carry self defense for these and other predators are chastised, judged, lectured, and told they should not do so. They huddle around campfires on the wrong side of the same brick wall of limited and stale knowledge with their measuring tapes, electronic recording devices, and coolers, idolizing abominations that they refuse to believe have always eaten and still do eat humans. They're still wondering, guessing, fantasizing, and hypothesizing about the origins and intentions of what is an unholy combination of everything but a completion of nothing. Because once they accept that the Bigfoots are not some superior and noble creature and admit to themselves and others that these are predators, the feel good conferences stop, the silly t shirts stop, the yard art with Bigfoot waving a peace sign stop. No more children's Bigfoot whooping contests. No more dangerous and misleading children's book sales where the ignorant author tells children who should instead be trained and protected that these are just big furry buddies who are curious about them. They risk losing popularity. No more money to be made from leading people into dangerous situations while pretending they are not bait. No more books rehashing the same old slop. No more feeling special because they think Bubbles and Harry are standing in the shadows of the woodline, watching or looking in the children's windows out of curiosity. The infantile artwork that gives these predators big round sad eyes and shy endearing smiles would go down, and sales on weapons, curtains, security cameras, and lighting would go up. No more Bigfoot plushies and slippers. No more teaching people that it's cool if predators are climbing under and on top of their houses. No more fundraisers for DNA tests that they'll find inconclusive and unknown again, or so they and their buddies can leave their families and travel to the deep woods on the other side of the country to come to the same non conclusions, accomplishing nothing. No more Bigfoot cruises and campouts and tours and seminars where everyone admits they ultimately still know squat, not squatch. If they read, watched, and accepted the knowledge we have shared over and over, they would already know the origin and intent. They would quit wasting time and resources and start clearing the brush lines. They would be able to recognize ambush blinds in their area. They would teach people the importance of removing ambush blinds from tree lines and dumpsters. They would have to clean up the junk, debris, overgrowth, and old cars in their own yards. They would tear down and completely remove old sheds and structures and help others to do so. They would warn the homeless. They would move their children's trampolines and play areas up closer to the house. They would have to get off their phones and go outside with their children and grandchildren and actually watch them and the tree line to make sure the children stay safe. They would have designated watchers and guardians at campsites and swimming and other recreation areas, whose only duty would be to watch the woods and the water while everyone else played because they cared enough to accept the responsibility. They would stay sober and alert. They would stop using Bigfoot excursions as an excuse to go party in the woods and would instead clear blinds away from walking trails and teach hikers areas to avoid. They would teach people that pull downs and land spikes are all part of the predator Bigfoot and hybrids hunting system. They would know about what my husband Jerry Williams and I call embankment blinds. They would teach others about the most common danger and ambush areas in the woods, in urban areas, around homes and businesses. They would volunteer to help remove overgrowth and clear the line of sight at their churches, sports fields, campgrounds, nursing homes, walking tracks, daycares, and recreational areas. They would check on their elderly parents and grandparents and neighbors and on single mothers or those who are physically unable to push back their wood lines and either do fundraisers to pay for lawn care for others or fill their coolers with water and electrolytes instead of beer, pick up clippers or a chainsaw, and they themselves help the unable or overwhelmed to push back their wood lines. Instead of pouring money into expensive equipment to try to be the one who proves once and for all that the forest people exist, when it's already well known and covered up that these monstrosities are real, they would put that money and effort into making sure vulnerable people had better awareness, security lights, and deterrent cameras. They would teach people not to feed their pets outside and to bring their pets inside at night, not to yell at their pets to shut up when they're barking to try to alert them. They wouldn't store their trash outside or send their children out at night or after dark to put it at the curb or put table scraps in the wood line. Responsible parents and grandparents would take weapons training and teach their children and grandchildren how to protect and secure themselves and how to avoid dangerous situations. They would not apologize to the woods and put out gifts to appease these predators that they call friends. Entire families would learn to spot what is one more kind of predator that exists. Parents and caretakers would walk their children to the bus stop and wait for them when they get off the bus, or at the very least, make sure the area is secured and there's no blind next to it. They would check to make sure the children made it inside after school if they were at work. They would know exactly where the arrival of evil is shown in the Aztec sunstone and the ancient sky maps. They would know how to spiritually protect themselves and teach their children to do the same. They would stop making movies like Harry and the Hendersons and stop showing those movies to their children without explaining that those movies are false. This is just the people in the so-called Bigfoot community, the ones who mock, dismiss, and ignore us. This doesn't even scratch the surface of the trolls, ignorant non-believers, and mockers who don't believe anyone and call every photo and video Photoshop, CGI, too blurry, too good, etc. They would listen to the people that are trying to warn them instead of deleting their comments and offers to help others from their Facebook groups. They would not be useless and wasting precious time or giving bad advice. If you've not yet read our books, The Predator Bigfoot and the Spiritual Warrior's Path by Jerry Williams and Lee Tracker E. Monster Spotters, a children's book which teaches exactly what to look for and what to avoid to keep your children safer. And Bigfoot Gifters, which teaches you what you're actually doing when you think you're doing nature a favor and feeding these alpha predators. You're creating more problems for people that will come behind you or for yourself. Watch our Bigfoot documentary, Predator Bigfoot documentary. Um, it's on the YouTube channel Sasquatch Choctaw Tracking. We've made it free. We've reduced the price on our books. We have hundreds of videos and live streams. We've done public outreach. We've done everything that we can think of. Also, this channel, Peculiar Path with Lead Tracker E. We have What the Indians Say About Bigfoot playlist. We have the Tracking and Deterrence 101 playlist. Check those out. Those are on this channel. And we have Just the Basics playlist. We have so much information already out there that is being ignored. We've been told that we should be ostracized from the community. When we try to warn people in groups, many of them, the Bigfoot lover groups, will either outright remove our comments or ignore us completely and not answer private messages to the administrators or moderators asking why the comments were removed. They don't want to hear what we have to say. We care about their safety too. You cannot humanize these predators. They're not human. They contain part human DNA, but it's not because they are human. There's other reasons for that. If you read our books, watch our videos, watch our Spider Squatch DNA video, we explain over and over. This is already a long video, so I'm not going to go into it right here. But teach your children that these are not your friends. God bless you. Keep you safe, and you bless your family by learning more about these predators, not being naive, not wishful thinking, and teach your children and your grandchildren and your spouses how to protect themselves. Have a good evening.